Okay guys, in this video we're going to be making a tank. It's a tier 1 tank, so it's going to be the base tank you can make without using too many parts. For starters, we're using the heavy chassis cube. You can get these from the cube depot in the chassis section. These are going to be the bases of the tank, and we're using them for the bottom because they're the heaviest. This way you make sure that the tank doesn't flip over. I use a row of 3 and then make a line just enough so we can fit 4 wheels on there. For the wheels I used the tier 1 steering wheel. You can get these for free, again from the cube depot, so you can use as many as you like. But keep in mind that every wheel adds to your CPU, which is up here. The CPU depends or limits how many blocks you can use. So make sure you don't use too many wheels because it's going to be at the cost of your armor. Now this is the basis of the tank. This is going to be the chassis we're going to be building everything on top of. You can, if you like, build one more row of chassis cubes here, because then we can build armor right in front of that. The armor blocks I'm using for this vehicle are the Armored Cube T1. You can get these from the cube depot, and they're not that expensive, they're only 10 a piece. So make sure you get about 100 of them, that way you don't have to start cramping up. Also make sure you get some of these armored prisms and armored tetras. These are the corners of the tank. You can unlock these through the tech tree. The armored cubes are the first ones you can unlock, and then the T1 prisms and the tetras. You can, if you want to, use the armored inners. These are basically cubes which have a little triangle cut off so that they can fit the angles of the tank better, but I rarely use them. Okay, let's add some armor. I end up with a base layer of armor on the bottom of the tank. Make sure these can cover the wheels so that when you're taking fire from the front you're not losing any wheels straight away. I'm going with 2 rows of these. And this gives me enough room to add some guns. I'm using 3 front-mounted SMG T1s. You can get these for free. You don't have to unlock them. You can just get as many of them as you like from the cube depot. But again, keep in mind that they also add to the CPU flops you can have. Okay, time to add some sloped armor. Doesn't really work in the game, but it looks nice anyway. And make sure that these are angled backwards, so that you get the covered angle on the front side. You can, if you like, add some of these blocks on the front, but they only limit your guns. And by the way, it doesn't look anything, so these are going to go. Now, this way you can build the tank up further. You don't have to make a whole base of all the blocks. And by this I mean that you don't have to cover up the wheels entirely. Just make sure that nobody can get to your side, or that you can get out fast enough of any encounter you have. Now I build up another layer of armor. This way people who get through the first layer of armor are going to also have to pounce through a second layer of armor so that they don't immediately blow up your tank. The next layer of guns we're going to be adding are the top SMGs tier 1s. You get a couple of these for free the moment you start the game, and since they have very small turning circles, you can add 4 of these on the top of the tank, which gives you a lot of flexibility in your encounters. You can even add 5 if you have them. Now we're going to need some way to command the tank, and for this use the pilot seat from the special section. You add a pilot seat, and you add an enemy radar, which will allow you to spot enemies from much farther away. Next we use the armored prisms. This way we can start building a cupola or cover of the tank. You use the tetras to round it off. And then you can add another layer of armor. Make sure you have this armor so that people don't penetrate your tank from the top. This is very important, especially in the more mountainous regions you're going to encounter. If you leave the top side of your tank open, people are just going to abuse that, especially at later levels when you can encounter flying enemies. So make sure that this part is really covered. Add some more prisms to give it that real covered tank look. Okay, I'm out of cubes, so I'm going to have to buy some more prisms. Go back to the cube depot. Now you can use control click to immediately order 10 of these instead of just keep clicking the button, so you order them one by one. Build some more prisms. Now my tank is getting pretty heavy, and you can see that on the bottom left side the tier is already getting close to tier 2, but I want to keep it tier 1. Let's see how much armor we can slap on this thing before it reaches tier 2. And there is your basic tank. This thing is going to be very hard to penetrate from the front. The side is a bit easier because you have the wheels. So make sure that whatever encounter you go into, you have the front of the tank angled towards the enemy. Or if you have some blocks available, you can cover this part up using prisms and more armor blocks. This way it'll give you some protection from the side, which helps if you're in a busy encounter with more than one vehicle. Add some more prisms, and I ran out of T1 cubes again. There you have it, this is the basic tank. In the next part we're going to see how this vehicle performs, make some adjustments if needed, or add some guns if we can. Okay, time to take this thing to battle. One thing you have to keep in mind is that tanks, if they flip over, they cannot flip back if you don't have one of those rectifiers which will flip you back. Also make sure that if you're in an encounter you always go for the guns first, so that your armor is going to keep up. I'm going to stick with the group for now. Strength in numbers. And as you can see, we can actually see into the tank from behind, so make sure that nobody gets to the back of your tank, because they will definitely rip you up. Here are the first victims. They got no armor, so they're going down pretty quickly. That's one. Going for the guns first. Thankfully they're mounted on the top of the tank. That's number 2. Now there's one of these guys here below in the dip. I'm not going to pursue him. It's going to take me too much time to get out of it again. There's another one down there, as you can see from the red dot. But we can shoot into the valley from here. And since there's an ally down there, we might as well give him a hand. And then unfortunately I fell in anyway. Since we're here, we might as well go after this guy. And this is our third kill. Now the tank took some damage, as you can see. We lost a couple blocks of armor. We lost one of our turret guns. Main guns on the front are all intact, and we lost some we took some damage to the side. So let's make sure we don't get hit there again. There's still a guy up here. Going after him next. We're taking some damage. Fourth kill. In front of me you can see one of the examples of a gun car. Just basically build a small vehicle and put as many guns onto it as you can. Meanwhile we're getting capped. There's not a lot I can do about that because I'm all the way on the other side of the map. Best thing we can do is take out as many guys as we can and try to cap on our own. Fifth kill. But it's really cost us. We only got 3 guns left and the armor on the front is mostly gone. Time to start capping. As you can see in the mini-map in A5, there's some of our team members going back, hopefully to reset the base. But it looks like this is going to turn out into a loss. Either way, we got 5 kills, so I'm happy with the result. Looks like there's definitely something going on in the base, because the cap is no longer counting. So that means someone is definitely resetting our cap. And we get a victory anyway. Now let's see what the results are going to be. Probably going to get some good results out of this. $1,250 points of damage, 672 robot points, 29 tech tokens, and because it's the first victory of the day, we get it doubled. Robot gets repaired for 27 points, so we made a profit of 600. Now, since this thing isn't completely maxed out yet, and we got some funds now, we can add some more guns. We can get some more top-mounted SMGs. I'm going to get 3 of these, because I think that is going to limit out the tank based on the tier number. Yeah, we're still tier 1 now. And this should also help us flip back if we're ever flipped somehow. New match. This is one with the improved tank where I have 3 more guns on the top, which should really help with the damage output. It's also a very good idea to make sure that you have guns on the top of your vehicle so you can take cover behind objects and still fire over them. This is why you sometimes see guys who have a very high vehicle, so that they can just peek over buildings, peek over obstacles, expose as little of the vehicle as they can, and do as much damage as they can. Fortunately, the tank at this point isn't high enough yet to peek over these obstacles. Now you can see on the radar there's a group of 3 guys on that side. I first want to get this guy out of play, which is a flyer. It's much too easy for him to get to the back of my tank. And since we took out the only route they had defended, we can now catch these guys off guard. They're mostly damaged, so we can just mop them up. His guns are disabled, so I'm not going after him again. First going after the vehicles was still a threat. Unfortunately, really took a lot of damage this time. And a 50% health. Armor's out. And we got 2 guns left. But we're still a combat vehicle, so we can go to their cap and help cap it out. Sometimes it's best to stay alive and do as much as you can for the team instead of doing as much damage as you can. I might be able to catch this guy from the side, whatever's left of him. Right now they are capping our base as well, but we got more vehicles in their cap zones, so we're going to win this one. This is another very nice example of a tank. Many guns, very rotational, but not as much armor on the side as we have. This is probably not going to net us as much money as the previous match, but it's a good example of how you can still be valuable to your team, even if you're mostly disabled. So there you have it, that's the basic tier 1 tank. It's maxed out, you can maybe put 1 or 2 more guns onto it, but that's it. Keep in mind that you might not be able to build this vehicle right away because of the P-flops limit. This limit goes up the more your player level goes up. And that's just something you can do by playing. So the more you play, the more P-flops you get, the bigger your vehicles get, and that's how you get up to tier 2, 3, etc. So this is your basic tank. Copy the design if you like, and I hope to see you on the battlefield. Cheers!